We made it! Woohoo! To the very last of the blending modes we have been going through in this blending mode class. The blending modes from the very top, one by one to the bottom, and we are now on the last one. This is not going to be the last class lesson because we're going to be combining the blending modes, but this is the last one where we're going to be restricted to using only the texture I give you and only that certain blending mode. We're going to get a little bit more freedom after this to really play, but we've restricted some of the rules while we've been going through each one to make you work outside the box to really learn how that particular blending mode works. The Luminosity blending mode. Now it's in the, I'm sorry I yawned there. Don't yawn now. I know it's contagious. The Luminosity is in the component section or group, and if you are just joining in, go back and watch the hue one to learn more about what component means. But the component preserves the hue and saturation of the bottom layer while adopting the brightness of the top layer. So if your photo's on the bottom, the colors in your photo and the saturation in your photo are gonna be preserved, while the brightness of the top layer is going to be adopted. So it basically, first thing I see is it doesn't matter what color your top layer is. It could be any color because we're still going to get the colors from the bottom layer. So let's see what this does. Here's our graphic that we've been doing, and a little bit of surprise. You remember this is what the hue did and the saturation and the color, and we talked about why. But here's your luminosity. It kind of illuminates. It brings on the brightness of like the white is really white and just goes wow. So let's look at what I did. I did something pretty simple, and this was a little bit difficult to work with, but you see I came up with something quite artistic. I think I yawned just a second ago. Yeah, I've been working really hard, and it's really late at night. I'm anxious to get these done to share with you, and yawns are contagious, I heard, and they might even be contagious through this little mic. So be careful. Don't grab it. Anyway, let's deconstruct and reconstruct. I only have 3 layers going on here. Here's my original image. I didn't change it at all. I probably kind of wished I would have maybe made it a little more saturated, but I loved the shadows, and I kind of thought, well, we can maybe use those. Let's see. We go back over here. The brightness, though, is coming from the top layer, but the saturation is coming from the bottom layer, and there's barely no saturation here. Even out here, it's not saturated very much. And so let's look at the texture that I got, and this is the texture we're giving you, and it's kind of got just 1 or 2 luminosities in it, I suppose you could say. It's got the blue is pretty standard, and then it's got all this grungy cool stuff. Don't ask me how I made it. I see little things of pieces of paper in here. I'd have to go back and look at the original paper before I processed it in Photoshop. But all this grunginess, I said to myself, I think I could figure out a way to get that into an image. And here it is with the luminosity. And it just worked. So let's change it to luminosity, and you see it's pulling some colors. Some of those, you remember there wasn't much color or hue in my original one, and it's getting the hue from the bottom layer. So there wasn't much. The only hue that was in it was right out here in the middle of the river, and a little bit up in here from the sky where it goes up in here. So, but there is really not much hue or color here, so that's why mine didn't do too much. It just kept the paper mostly. So I started lowering the opacity, and as I did, it came out to where there was a lot of the grungy showing and not a whole lot of the blue. And all that grungy goodness, it kind of made it look like we were looking through uh, a dirty piece of vellum. I don't know, a dirty glass, a dirty window, a really dirty window. Somebody needs some Windex, some glass cleaner. It kind of still has a haze on it, but it has all that grungy cool stuff on it. And I played with my text, kind of get it to go in that opening thing there. And I added a stroke and a drop shadow to it. I grabbed the color of the stroke from in the background so things would coordinate, but then I had to make it darker because, as we've said before, even from the very beginning classes, to make your text readable, you need contrast, and adding a stroke is one way. But the key is that the color of your text is either light or dark, and then the stroke is either light or dark, but they're opposite of each other. So I have light text here and a darker stroke. So I took the color from here, but then I made it darker so that the text was readable. And that was all I just did. There was no reason for me to do the other stuff to ground things, because there's two things working to ground it already. One, just the photo itself has a natural ground all the way around here, like we're looking through. And second, the grunge that goes around the edge of the paper all the way around, even here, helps to ground it. So there wasn't anything else I had to do. It was just kind of cool as it was. I like it when that happens and I don't have to think too hard. I want to show you here though how because my text is below, it's got all the grungy goodness going through it too. Isn't that pretty cool? Awesome. So kind of gives you some ideas of the ways you can use this. Maybe you might want to just grunge up your text sometime. You could grab this texture and the luminosity and, group it to it and grunge it up. Grab a different texture for a different layer, but not for this lesson. But so anyway, go download the texture and play with it and share and show us a screenshot of the recipe, which is also known as your layers palette. And let's see what everybody does with it and how it reacts differently with your images, and get out there and get your art going on and get that artistic high. Bye.